Spencer Oliver. Good afternoon.
How are you, Jim? I'm not so sure Simon loves me, to be fair. He didn't really react too well when you said that.
Oh, so you're here, Spence?
Oh,
Spencer, you're welcome. Simon and I touched on this at the beginning of the week. To be quite honest, I couldn't believe it when I heard that Canelo Alvarez had lost at the weekend to this man, a Russian, Dmitry Bivol. But lose he did. Did you see it coming?
No, I didn't see it coming. You know, we talked about it in the studio last week, didn't we? We knew that Bivol was good, and I think that Canelo Alvarez lost because he was out of his weight division. If I'm totally honest, that's what it all comes down to. Bivol proved that he's a great fighter. You know, he was very disciplined in what he done. He didn't stick. He kept the fight long. He controlled the range. But Canelo was just out of his weight depth, if I'm totally honest, and that was evident to see. I thought it was a really good performance by Bivol.
Yes.
You know, his stock has risen massively. Where does Canelo Alvarez go now? There's all talk about, well, of course he's lost his pound-for-pound number one spot. You know, I think that will go now to Terence Crawford, but it still doesn't make him a bad fighter. He was fighting out of his comfort zone. He was looking for challenges, and you can see going up to light heavyweight. He boxed in 2019, if you guys remember, against Kovalev, who was an old, past his best fighter, and he struggled against Kovalev. He was behind after 10 rounds, knocked Kovalev out in 11. So it was always going to be a difficult task up at light heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean, and yet, Simon, it appears we're heading for a rematch. I don't know if that's the best direction for Canelo to go in.
Well, that might be an element of machismo and pride about the outcome of that particular fight. I mean, it's interesting because when he fought Caleb Plant's actually taller and got more reach than Bivol.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, the weight difference and the power of the punches, but I thought it wasn't just about weight, it was just about the sheer and utter discipline and refusal to deviate from game plan that Bivol had.
Yeah.
He just wasn't affected or phased or aware of the fact he was fighting Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
He was simply, this is the job I've got to do, and I will do it. And technically, I don't know, he just looks so good against him. I mean, some of those 1-2s and combinations that he threw, and he threw them in clusters that really made Canelo look pedestrian, which he's capable of doing, because Billy Joe Saunders made him look pedestrian at times.
Absolutely. Listen,
but he comes through with a power, doesn't he? In his own weight class, I guess.
Canelo loves to get on the inside and let those big bombs go. And you're right in what you said there, Simon. You touched on something really well, that, you know, when a fighter's got that aura of invincibility around him, like Mike Tyson had it back in the day. You know, fighters get hit and then they think, you know, that like it affects them psychologically. Well, Bivol didn't have that. He went in there with that mindset, no, I'm the champion, I'm undefeated, and I'm not going to worry about this guy who's come up from welterweight up to light heavyweight. And he controlled the fight, controlled the distance, and you're right, combinations were going in. It was a fight that he won quite convincingly, actually, and I think it's quite poor that Canelo Alvarez was saying, well, I won the fight, I thought I won the fight. I mean, come on, 115, 113 across the board. He won 9 out of 12 rounds. I think that Bivol won 9 out of 12. You know, Canelo wasn't in the fight.
Is that why Johnny Nelson is coming out and saying Canelo should now stay in his lane?
Right, as well.
Yeah, but he's totally right. You know, Canelo's looking for challenges. He's saying, listen, he wants to go through the divisions. He's a 4-weight world champion. Light heavyweight is way too big for him. He's a guy that's 5'8". He boxed at welterweight, went up to light middle, light heavy, super middle, light heavy. Like, it was too much for him, too much size. And I think that you're right. Ego and pride has taken place there when he's saying that he's already ordered the immediate rematch because he gets beat again.
Absolutely.
You know, he gets beat again.
But at least we can stop all this nonsense about fighting Usyk at 201 pounds and fighting Makubu for the cruiserweight title and this and the other. It's too much. I mean, I know that Roy Jones went through the divisions, but I don't think Canelo Alvarez is going to be able to do that with the size and shape of him, do you?
I agree. No, totally agree.
Simon, you know this fight game. Spencer certainly does. If the money's there, the fight will happen again.
But look at the deal he's already got. I mean, he's not short of a bob or two, and he's not short of a commercial deal. He's already got a deal, and there's an element of maybe his promoters need to handle him a little bit better because they're getting just a little bit carried away what he is as a cash cow for them as much as he is for himself. He's got a $300 million deal, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it's not about money now. I think it's more about pride. And the manner that he got beat. You know, if he goes into that immediate rematch and he takes that, I think that would be a terrible thing for him to do because people know that he's not a light heavyweight. We understand that he's not a light heavyweight. All right, you've gone up, you've been beat, accept it. That you was out your division, And Johnny Nelson's right in what he says.
is
Get
right,
back in your lane,
He is
come
right,
back down to middleweight. Forget even super middleweight. Come back down to middleweight and, to control the middleweight division.
You ever imagine anyone telling Simon Jordan, get back in your lane? Could you ever imagine? Imagine the reaction to that, Spence? To what degree has Canelo's star fallen then after last weekend,
I don't think it has fallen.
You don't think so?
No, I don't, because I just think that, it's not like he's been beaten by a guy in his weight division. He's been beaten by a guy that's much bigger, much better. At that weight.
I like Bivol.
His star will fall if he takes a rematch
I
and
agree.
gets bashed up again.
Yeah.
Because everybody with common sense suggests that the fact is this is not a good fight for you to take again. You're an elite fighter. We know you're an elite fighter. You've beaten everybody. I mean, I know Gennady Golovkin fights have been a little bit iffy, and obviously losing to Floyd Mayweather early in your career. But he doesn't need to do this journey.
He doesn't need to do it. Simon, that's the fight. The trilogy with Golovkin, that's the fight for him now, really. To go back down. Golovkin wants that fight anyway. We saw in Golovkin's last fight, he looked old, he looks a little bit ponderous. He was 40 years of age, he is 40 years of age, to be fair. But that's still a good fight. It's an entertaining fight. The first two were controversial. The first one especially was Triple G beat Canelo in that first one by at least 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Let's see that again. Let's get that on.
Yeah, Spencer, I'm looking at the messages. Guys, the scoring again in that fight with Canelo was scandalous.
Yeah, terrible.
Was it?
115, 113 across the board.
It was more. He beat him convincingly, and he didn't beat him by 2 points. He beat him by 4 or 5 points.
Absolutely, it was 9 rounds to 3. I think that was quite clear.
I tell you what, they're not having Canelo this lunchtime. Keith Fraser, a big boxing fan. Canelo's been found out. He lost twice to Golovkin. He was behind against Plant and even Billy Joe Saunders. He's strong with his boxing skills, but
he ain't been found out.
He's not been found out. He's been found out that he's not a light heavyweight, which we all knew anyway.
Listen, one thing I'm conscious of, Spencer, of course, almost predictably, we're talking about Canelo non-stop. What about Bivol? Is he going to become an all-time great?
He's a great fighter. I mean, he's a very, very. I mean, he was an unbelievable amateur as well. I think what we was all going off with Bivol
was Craig Richards.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I'm glad you nailed that.
That was
Craig
fault.
Richards.
It's my fault. Yeah.
Craig Richards pushed him right to the wire. I mean, Bivol, he had to pull it out in the last few rounds. I think that if Craig Richards had a little bit more self-belief, he could have even won that night. So we all went on judging it on that. But what does that say? Now, we've got Craig Richards and Joshua Buatsi coming up next week.
Yeah.
Great fight. But now what that tells me is Buatsi, for me, was starting a massive favourite in that. Now you look at it and you go, well, actually, Richards could be a lot better than what we've given credit for, because the way that he's pushed Bivol, who clearly now is in the top pound for pound in the top 10, he's still got his work to do. He's still got to warrant getting that mark.
Shot, yeah. But when we looked at light heavyweights, we thought that Bivol, amongst Joe Smith and Beterbiev, was the weaker of the light heavyweight champions.
Yes.
That argument is not looking very solid right now. But again, it goes back to the situation where he's fighting somebody that's a pumped up middleweight that's going up through the gears.
Absolutely.
So, Craig Richards is a bona fide legitimate light heavyweight. So we did it. We were guilty of it last week. We all thought the Canelo Alvarez, but absolutely me.
Yeah.
And
one of those rare times.
I'm also Spencer, because he's a supposed expert.
Well, that's true.
No, it was one of those rare times we got it wrong. Very rare.
Yes, indeed.
So enjoy the moment.
Yeah,
okay, enjoy the moment out there.
As well.
Actually, if you have, while Spencer is with us, we only have 45 minutes left with him.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.